A car payment should not feel like rent, but for a lot of people it does. You buy a car because you need to get to work, you need to pick up your kids, you need your life to function. And then one day, you look at your bank account and realize your car is not just transportation anymore. It is a monthly bill that follows you everywhere, quietly, relentlessly, like a second rent payment you never meant to sign up for. And that is the trap. Because most people do not buy a car based on the real price. They buy it based on one question: can I handle the monthly payment? That sounds smart, it feels responsible, but this is where the problem starts. When you focus only on the monthly payment, almost anything can be made to look affordable. Stretch the loan longer, lower the payment a little, move some money around, trade in the old car, roll old debt into the new loan. Suddenly, a car that is way too expensive starts to feel normal. And this is exactly why so many people end up stuck. Right now, the average financed new car payment in the US is hovering around the high $700, and used car payments are still above $500. A record share of buyers have crossed the $1,000 a month line, which shows how normal huge payments have started to feel. Think about that for a second. $700, $800, $1,000 a month. That is not just a car payment. That is money that could have gone to rent, savings, debt payoff, emergency cash, or investing. But here's what makes this worse. Most people do not feel the full pain on day one. That is why the trap works. At first, the car feels worth it. It is newer, cleaner, safer. Maybe it makes you feel like you are finally moving up. And that emotional part matters more than most people admit. Cars are not just about driving. They're about identity, success, freedom, status, relief. When life feels stressful, buying a better car can feel like progress, like you are finally rewarding yourself, like you are no longer behind. But the monthly payment does not care how you felt in the dealership. It shows up when insurance goes up, when gas prices jump, when repairs start, when your rent increases, when groceries cost more, when one missed paycheck throws everything off. And now the car payment that once felt manageable starts choking the rest of your budget. This is why people feel confused. They think, I'm making decent money. Why do I still feel broke? Because the car was never just the car. It was the payment, plus insurance, plus fuel, plus registration, plus maintenance, plus interest, plus the money you can no longer use anywhere else. And this is what most people miss. A car payment does not just cost you money, it takes away flexibility. That is the real damage. When your fixed bills get too high, every other choice in your life gets smaller. You cannot save as much. You cannot handle surprises as easily. You stay in jobs you hate longer. You feel scared to take risks. You delay investing. You keep living month to month. So the car is not just affecting your budget, it is affecting your future decisions. And the system makes this easy to miss because it trains you to think in monthly terms, not total cost, not interest paid, not years of commitment, just the monthly number. That is why long loan terms became so common. Experience says average loan lengths are now close to 6 years for both new and used cars, and Edmunds reported that a large share of borrowers have been taking 84-month loans. Longer terms can lower the monthly payment, but they usually increase total interest and keep people tied to the loan longer. And this is where it gets dangerous, because a lower monthly payment can trick you into accepting a much bigger total cost. You are not solving the affordability problem. You are stretching it out. That is like saying a heavy backpack feels lighter because you agreed to carry it for longer. The weight is still there. Sometimes it gets worse. People trade in a car before the loan is done. The old balance does not disappear. It can get rolled into the next loan. Now they are paying for a car they no longer own inside the loan for a different car. This is how people stay in the cycle, car to car, payment to payment, trade-in to trade-in. Always current, never clear. And when enough households live like this, it becomes a bigger financial reality. By the end of 2025, Americans owed about $1.67 trillion on auto loans, and the New York Fed reported overall household delinquency pressures were still elevated. That does not mean everyone with a car loan is failing. It means a lot of people are carrying more pressure than they realize. So what actually changes this? Not shame, not pretending cars don't matter, not acting like everyone should drive a 20-year-old beater tomorrow. The real shift is mental. You stop asking, "Can I afford the payment?" and you start asking better questions. How much of my monthly life is this car taking from me? How long will this payment control my choices?
What is the total cost, not just the monthly number? What else could this money do for me if I was not sending it to a lender every month? That question changes everything, because once you see the trade-off clearly, the car stops looking cheap. A $700 payment is not just $700. It might be the reason you never build a solid emergency fund. It might be the reason your credit card balance never fully disappears. It might be the reason you feel behind, even when you are trying hard. And here's the part most people do not expect. A car payment often feels normal because everyone around you is doing the same thing. That's what makes the trap powerful. It is socially accepted. Nobody panics when someone says they have a car payment. It's treated like a normal adult bill. But normal does not always mean healthy. A lot of financial stress in America looks normal now. High payments look normal. Debt looks normal. Being broke with a decent income looks normal. That does not mean it is harmless. And this is where hope comes in. Once you stop thinking like a payment buyer, you start thinking like a wealth builder. You notice that every smaller fixed bill gives you breathing room. Breathing room becomes savings. Savings become options. Options reduce stress. And less stress helps you make better money decisions. That's the real upgrade, not the car, the control. Because the goal is not to impress people at a red light. The goal is to make your life easier behind the scenes. So if your car payment feels like a second rent, you are not imagining it. You are feeling the pressure of a system built to sell you a monthly number instead of long-term freedom. And once you understand that, you start seeing the trap everywhere, not just in cars, in debt, in lifestyle, in every affordable decision that quietly keeps you stuck. The people who build real financial stability are not always the ones driving the nicest car. A lot of the time, they are the ones who protected their monthly life, because when your monthly bills stay lower, your future gets bigger. And that may be the most expensive truth about car payments. The real cost is not just what leaves your bank account, it is what the payment keeps you from becoming.